Happy lunch hour, guys. All right, so it is Friday lunchtime, and that's kind of important. And it's about time to talk about this issue now because I've been watching it, but didn't know what was going to happen. And so I didn't want to jump the gun on things. Come Monday, we could have a railroad strike in the United States. And I know people go, all right, not a big deal. Now I want to give you this. The goods, most of the goods that you buy, go into Walmart, go into Target, whatever store you shop out, Tractor Supply, whatever. They're carried by truck, okay? Not much of it goes on rail. Here's the problem. If you think about what is primarily shipped by rail, you think about this stuff: coal, gravel, grain, lumber, okay? More of the, I use the term industrial materials. And while you don't buy it directly, you do buy it indirectly. If coal isn't shipped, electricity can't be generated. If gravel isn't shipped, concrete can't be poured. If lumber isn't shipped, buildings can't be built. I think there's a housing problem now with construction companies being behind. Let's go back to that lumber issue again that we had last year. Okay. Grain. If grain isn't shipped, the cows don't eat. The cows don't eat, you don't buy meat, okay? Or whatever other livestock, chicken feed, or, pick something, all right? Or your loaf of bread, anything, all right? Stuff like that is not shipped by truck, it's shipped by train. Well, come Monday, there is going to be a railroad strike unless a new contract comes for the unions. We've known about this for weeks, for months. Okay. The way the contract is written with the railroad companies, the union contract is written, there's a 30-day cooling off period from when negotiations end. Okay. That expires on Monday, then they can go on strike. So for at least 30 days, this has been in the news. Our transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, should know about this. Now, whether or not he was off on maternity leave and didn't care or worried about racist highways, maybe those things were more important to him. The president, everybody's favorite potato, is supposed to be putting together a emergency governance board or presidential emergency board to help negotiate this contract so there isn't a strike. On Monday, it is Friday lunch, okay? Why wasn't this done Monday? Why wasn't this done last week? Why wasn't this done a month ago? Why is it now 4 business hours left until a strike can happen, and we still don't have this emergency board? What is the White House doing? Now, why do the unions want to go on strike? Well, I'll give you this. The railroad employees, it used to be a really good job. An engineer would make 6 figures, and they'd get a good amount of time at home. They'd work 8 or 9 hour shifts and go home. There's been such a cutback by the railroad companies in personnel that these guys are now working 18 and 19 hour shifts. Ask a truck driver if they can work an 18 or 19 hour shift. Got transportation still. And I'll tell you what, a train accident causes a hell of a lot more damage than a truck accident. Okay. But, so these guys aren't spending the time at home. They are getting penalized if they take time off for fatigue, doctor's appointment, funerals, okay? And they wonder why the employees are upset, why they want to go on strike. The railroad companies offered a new contract, and the railroad company said, "Oh, this has some of the best benefits out there, blah 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 blah." And the employees said, "This is not adequate. We need the time off to recuperate. You cannot work somebody 5 days a week at 18 hours a day, let alone 7 days a week at 18 hours a day. Okay, that's not safe." And well, I'm not the big pro-union guy. In this particular scenario, yeah, I'm going to side with the union on this one, because these companies, all this just-in-time inventory crap that, you know, we got, got to make sure that stuff gets to the coal. Let's just use for example, gets to the electric plant an hour before they need to start to burn it. Okay, this makes the profitability for companies, better because they don't have to store it. This makes the profitability for the railroad companies better because they don't have to wait to load or unload something. The problem is, you get one little hitch. I don't know, say a train accident where a bunch of coal cars go off the tracks, like what happened last week. Okay. Now what happens? Now that electric company's going, "Oh my God, we can't generate power. We don't have any coal because we don't have anything in storage." All right, and this isn't, a non-critical issue. It's not like Walmart going, "Oh gee, we don't have any mason jars this week." It's not the end of the world for people if they can't get mason jars this week. Ask Texas about it being the end of the world when it's 115-degree heat index and there's no electricity. Okay. Ask the farmer who can't feed his livestock because there's no grain. Ask the home builder who can't pour the foundation for a house or build a house because there's no gravel, there's no lumber. Okay. This is coming Monday. Our government, our elected officials, have sat on their hands and done nothing again. Like I said, Transportation Secretary. Have you heard a word out of him about this? No, but you've heard everything about, like I said, racist highways and all that, those important things. This is a major supply chain issue, guys, that is going to affect everybody indirectly. And like I said, you're not buying coal. Chances are, for most of us, aren't buying truckloads of grain or something like that. But it will all trickle down to you. When food gets more expensive, when electricity is not available, when lumber prices go back up, okay? You look at, we've talked about housing costs and, somebody could afford a $300,000 house last year can only afford a $200,000 house now, okay, because of mortgage rates. Well, now let's say the lumber prices go up. Now that $200,000 house now costs $300,000 because of the increase in lumber or the increase in concrete or whatever it would be, and the mortgage rates are up. This prices everybody out of the housing markets. This is another thing setting up for a colossal crash of our economy. This is a supply chain disaster. Last time we had a railroad strike was 1992. It lasted 2 days. It took 3 months to to get back caught up again for everything that happened, right? 2 days. What happens if this one lasts a week, a month? It's July. A lot of people need electricity from the coal. What happens when we start needing heat from it? What happens when lumber can't move and there is no firewood? Okay, remember, they're hauling logs. Some of those logs get turned into the firewood that you see at the grocery store for sale. That might be the only thing that you can get that's dry, unless you have it now. You know, what happens when the cattle can't eat? What happens when the pigs can't eat? What happens when the chickens can't eat? This is the stuff that we need to pay attention to, that we forward-looking people, i.e. preppers, need to prepare ourselves for. More higher food costs, more higher utility costs. The construction, the concrete, the lumber, okay, maybe that doesn't affect everybody that much depending on what you're doing, okay? But fuel and food are two of the most crucial commodities that everybody has to have. And as usual, profits came over people and the government is incompetent. I'm all for companies making a buck, but not at the expense of the safety and the livelihood of the public. This is how bad it's got in this country, where our government can't even figure out how to keep the lights on. If you voted for Joe, thanks. You screwed all of us. Pinball out.